Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer, and this is our Monday question seminar. This is where people ask me questions and I try and answer them. And it's Monday, and I don't have a cocktail till tomorrow, so it made sense. So this weekend, we hit our 10K users on YouTube. That's cool. What else did we do? Oh, we recorded 5 videos this week with guests. I got a guest star. My cousin Doug was back. He's been on the show before. If you go through our playlist of co-hosts, you'll find Doug. We've also had ones with Doug and Don. This is just Doug. And that was cool. It should be pretty hilarious. Maybe out of control. I gotta go proof and watch them just because they're entertaining to watch when it's just not me. So for questions today, let's see what I got here. I was trying to summarize some. People had mentioned that I take martial arts. This is true. And they've asked what kind I take. I'm not really sure. Right now I'm doing Kempo Karate. It's a Shaolin Kempo Karate, so it's of the Fred Villari line. If you know anything about karate lineage, I've also done Ed Parker style. I'm a first degree black belt, going for second degree someday. I've been a black belt for about 15 years. Took some time off, so I'm an instructor and practicing at the same time, and that's cool. It's kind of neat to be able to teach other people. I'm personally teaching more Ed Parker style self-defense techniques. But learning forms and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully someday I'll be able to link some videos because we want to be able to produce the videos of the forms and such. So that'd be cool. So what else? How did I get started with the show? This is a good question. So, they're all good questions. I was trained in presentations to never say that's a good question. So what I originally had thought of is a gaming podcast, and we had done that for an online gaming retail shop that I had started. And that didn't work out so well. Turns out game retail sucks, so we didn't do that. But while we were doing it, we were trying to promote it with podcasting, audio shows. And I did the podcast that we did there, gaming show that we did, ended up going long beyond the store's creation. So it turned in from a marketing tool into just something cool to do. And we built some viewers there, and I couldn't get advertising, and it became more of a every week I'm doing this, and I'm not seeing any real results from it. Video was kind of becoming the next big thing, so we started going into that, and I thought, what would be a good content? Video in video games is tough because you really have to show the video games, and that requires more hardware. Where can I be more of a talking head? And I had watched a couple different video shows. One, Gary Vaynerchuk did a Wine Library TV video show where he just taste tested wines, and I like the sit down attitude. That this is just what I do. If you don't like me, whatever. So I kind of went that approach because that was kind of more my style. And then I needed to figure out what to do with it. And cocktails became a big challenge because I realized that there's a lot of cocktails I'd love to create that I just felt intimidated about. And I wanted to break down that barrier and do something that was like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. So we started just taking cocktail recipes and showing people how to create them, at the same time learning from that process. If you go all the way back, you'll see a huge learning that we did, going from basically a guy with a recipe book to what we do today, where we have alcohol reviews done by people who send them to us. We know some people in the industry, not too many people, but the ability to get questions answered when they're needed. Had a Jägermeister question once, went to the folks, got the answers I needed, stuff like that. Why did I do it? Because I was looking for a way to make ad revenue doing this. I wanted to be able to produce a show that had some place in media where advertising could go. Alcohol and female demographic are very low for podcasting in general, and I wanted something that captures some female audience and capture those ad dollars from companies that just can't advertise in a video game show or something else because the underage thing is kind of iffy. So we do a show focused on cocktails, spirit brands, stores, cocktail industry people can use our show as a platform to show off their goods. Well, we don't really make a lot of money on it. We're making some with YouTube ad revenue, and every now and then we get a sponsor. I just don't have somebody in my archive of people that could go out and seek brands to sponsor the show. Maybe it'll come eventually, but I'm just building the audience. Maybe someday we'll get more relevant ads, but that's kind of why I had gone down that route. We've been doing it for 3 years, and lastly, what keeps us going, everybody's responses, the positive ones. Critical, people that have their own personal view of what our show should be are entertaining to read, and we can learn from that. But negative stuff where they just call me or they just tell me I suck and Tipsy Bartender is so much better. You're always going to have a level of douchebag quoting when you have 10,000 subscribers. There's going to be a percentage of people that are going to find the show that are really nothing better to do but to tell you how much you suck and how they could do it better, but they never will. But everybody who writes in, we have people that are, in Afghanistan, and they're writing and telling us how we entertain them while they're doing their job out there, and some excuse me, fans that just write in with, "Oh, look at you, made me spend all this money on cocktail or on this alcohol. It's awesome, but how could you?" There's a lot of community interaction which you don't get from standard mainstream TV, and I thrive more on being able to discover all the different people, their attitudes, who they are, and be it submitting recipes to me, that's nice, but being able to speak with people on YouTube, comments, or email, you learn a lot about yourself and other people that way. So that's kind of what keeps us going, knowing that when I publish a show, people are watching it. That's exciting. Let's see. Do I buy all my alcohol? No. I'd say probably 50% of it comes through for review, and I use it on the show after I do the reviews. They used to be text reviews. I've been trying to do video reviews because people get excited about it, and it kind of covers both. I can put text after it, so I get some of my alcohol that way. Other stuff I refresh when I run out. That doesn't happen too often. And other stuff is new that I see in the store, and I'm like, I gotta try it, and I just bring it home. Pinnacle, a couple of their brands like Gummy, some spice rums, the blacks, the Malibu Reds, that type of crazy stuff. We get a Malibu Red recipe that me, Doug, and Jennifer created this week. It's gonna be awesome. That'll be Friday, I think. So that discovery portion cost me some money, but I write it off of my taxes because we are an established company. Where do we live? We're in New Hampshire, almost sundown. Let's see. The difference between shots, this is more of an alcohol question. Difference between shots, double shots. We had, and I've seen this too, a double shot's like 1.5 ounces. What the heck? And what's a regular shot then? So I know a lot of people send us recipes submitted as shots. I always assume 1 ounce for shots because it's still a proportion. If it's 1 shot of Bacardi and 2 shots of Bailey's, I know it's 1 ounce of Bacardi, 2 ounces of Bailey's. The ratio still works. If it's too much, I just cut the ingredients in half, but keep the ratio the same. But I believe it, and the UK folks can correct me if I'm wrong, but a UK shot is a little bit less than what our standard US shot would be. They give a little less alcohol. They're a little more wary about too much alcohol, its impact on people, I think. From how I dealt with Bailey's and stuff, their recipes, they only had so much alcohol that was allowed in a drink, and I think they just have different rules. So their shots are a little smaller. Could go back further than that in Heritage, I don't know. Our shots are a little bigger. A double shot is probably more of a marketing thing. I don't know why you'd give a half is a double. It really just means more. But shots as a unit of measure is very vague, where ounces, milliliters, milliliters, those are much more accurate. Whether you like one or the other, whatever, but at least they're more accurate, where a shot could be, and I've seen people do this, they just fill a shot glass and they pour it. Not necessarily going to always work. Take 5 shot glasses and use a measuring, like an OXO measuring cup, and pour in the same amount into each one and see if they're actually the same size, because shot glasses do vary in size, even small amounts, big amounts. Some of them are doubles and you can't even tell. So keep that in mind when you're just pouring shots, that it's not always exactly a standard measure of 1 ounce. I think that's probably good enough for today. That covers most of the most popular questions. I got plenty more. Here's the last one. We'll end on this. 80s wrestling. Thoughts. 80s wrestling is awesome. That is the nostalgia period for me. That is the period where I remember all these awesome tag teams. I used to watch WrestleMania 5 every day I got home from school, and the personalities were so big and so crazy, and it was an insane time where it was a mix between the glitz and glamour that you have more today and true wrestling, where you felt like these guys were actually wrestling. And there were moves, and some matches went on for an hour, and other ones were really short, and now it's become more about just talking. It's more of the soap opera, and I get bored. And at 10 o'clock, that's when all the women come on that are half-dressed in nudes, and they're scantily clad women because they want to keep the male audience to the next hour, and it's become more of a big machine that I'm not as into. And after I've tuned out around 2004, You lose touch with the personalities. I still respect the folks like The Rock and Stone Cold, all the way down to like Bret Hart, Owen Hart, and those that have passed on. Um, my thoughts of 80s wrestling is, here it is, summed up. I love it. I I don't know what my life would have been without it, but when I go back and I watch it today, it doesn't always live up to what I remember. Very similar to some video games, and Goonies is still a good movie, but some things just don't live up to your memories, and that's just how it is. That's my thoughts on 80s wrestling. See you guys tomorrow with an actual recipe. We're teaching how to drink.